Hey, welcome home. I'm happy to see you. My name is Jarrell. This is my little YouTube channel thing, I guess. I didn't realize that I was getting so many comments and so much activity on the YouTube channel, so I just wanted to thank you all for that. I'm not a YouTuber. It's not a real YouTube channel, is it? I'm just sharing something that I really enjoy, something I'm passionate about. I just want to share it with you, because I got a feeling that you guys enjoy music, that you enjoy doing stuff yourself, and that's what I'm all about. So this is my Mandocello. This is converted from a 3/4 guitar. It's a Redding brand, so it's a great guitar. I've done a review on it before. I'll see if I can find the link for that. I'll go ahead and share that with you. So let me just play this fella for you for a little bit. I hadn't tuned it up before I started, actually just jumped right into it. So let's just see if it's in tune. This is my custom Mandocello. Mandocellos are extremely rare instruments. They're very difficult to track down. If you hadn't heard of them before, now you have. They play an octave lower than a mandola, and a mandola plays basically half an octave lower than a mandolin. So they are in the mandolin family. They gained, well, they never really gained prominence. They were generally used in big band mandolin orchestras around the early 1900s is really when they were most used. Unfortunately, due to the international conflicts and war that we had going on in the early 1900s, frivolous things such as big band, especially with mandolin and banjo, those things lost popularity, and the world sort of changed its mentality. So things like the mandolin lost popularity. I think the forward momentum we had moving forward with big band was really stopped by World War I, and that's really when the Mandocello started going extinct. Is there wasn't a demand for it. They are really only fitting in that environment that caters towards this kind of voice, and in general the Mandocello voice is quite soft, and it is designed to fit perfectly and to blend with the mandolin family of instruments. Alongside a guitar, any kind of band, there's so a delicate sound that is easily overshadowed by something like a guitar, which can bash out chords. This instrument can't bash out chords, and it's not designed for that. I've had people that try to bash out chords on it, playing down here and scratching up, you know, when I have a pick guard up here, So I'm a little bit wary of handing this to a guitarist, because a guitarist will naturally want to play it like a guitar, but it's not a guitar, is it? So I picked a guitar that had a reasonably similar scale length to Mandocellos that were in existence in the early 1900s, and I put actual Mandocello strings in it, which are quite rare. They're a bit difficult to find anyway. I used a typical mandolin tailpiece, and the reason why I did that is I wanted as much tension on the strings as possible. So I wanted, instead of using a tailpiece that comes up farther, I wanted it as far back as possible. And the reason being is that the more distance, or the more length you have on that string, the more tension there will be, and the more tension there is, the more resonance you'll get, and the more you will be able to impart vibrations from the string into the top. So this is a solid, I believe it's a spruce top. I have all this stuff written down in a spreadsheet, the build materials of my instruments, the strings that I use, any materials. I generally always go with a bone saddle. So this is probably the second or third draft of this particular saddle, and the nut, this is probably, yeah, it's probably my second or third draft, as well as I experimented a fair bit in terms of height and distancing, and if I ended up making a distance between the strings that wasn't quite right, I would just get a new blank and carve out a new nut, carve out a new saddle. So it has taken a while to get it playing what I think is just right. So I'll go ahead and show you the action height on the strings here. And this is as comfortable an action height as I can get on this. It's quite low. I try to get it as low as possible. You can see what my saddle looks like there. And the bridge, of course, still looks like a 6-string guitar bridge, because that's what the instrument originally was. You can see I've got a piezo contact pickup just here. I've got a bit of string here. I'm going to replace that. I've got elastic black hair bands that I didn't have at the time when I put the string on there, but I'll replace that. It looks a bit neater. Eventually I'll get some grommets. I'd have to order them from overseas, and I just haven't gotten around to it, have I? And what that is meant to do is reduce the wolf tones that can be produced along these strings. On my octave mandolin, I do have something up there to dampen the wolf tones that can come up off from up there, because they can produce that. On this particular instrument, I don't find that the headstock area produces noticeable wolf tones, but I do notice that effect here. So I am able to plug this in. I've played this at music clubs, and it always goes down well, because it has such a unique voice, and the color is so warm and deep. There's so many layers to the color of this instrument that people are always very curious what it is, because it looks like a guitar, but once you hear it, you can tell it's not a guitar, and people are always interested in that sound. And it's difficult to sing along with this instrument, because it's quite soft. Oh, it looks like the neighbor's dog has escaped his yard, and he's come to say hi. So there's probably you might see a German Shepherd here. He might knock my camera over. Hi, Max. Hopefully the dog wanders back to the neighbor's house. Hi, Max. You should go back home. No, this is my instrument. You need to go back home now. Well, there's no water in there right now. There's mosquitoes in there. Okay, bye, Max. He's probably going to hang out here. I'll have to bring him back over to the neighbor's house in a little bit. So one thing to keep in mind when playing any sort of instrument is the tonal, what I consider tonal fortitude. It's not really a technical term. It's something that I thought of just so it makes sense to me in my head. I'm going to pause that. The neighbor's looking for his dog. All right, we got the German Shepherd back to his home. He's back with the neighbors. So I was just briefly going over what I consider tonal fortitude, and that is an instrument's ability to withstand factors that negatively influence its tone or its tonal quality. Generally, what will impact is either your body pressing up against the back of the instrument, which will dampen the tone, and also when you have your forearm contact the top. any mass that makes contact with the top of the instrument is going to negatively impact the tone. All right, I'll just pause it. There's a delivery driver here and my dogs are barking. I'll just pause again real quickly. And we're back. The delivery driver's gone now. Everyone in the neighborhood wants to stop by. So, what I was discussing is affecting the tone of your instrument negatively. So, there is quite a certain amount of discipline in terms of physically playing your instrument in a way that doesn't negatively affect the tone. So that's something that I always consider when I'm playing an instrument. And every instrument has its own level of tolerance in the amount that it can withstand those influences. Some instruments are built in such a way to where even if your back is contacting, if your body's contacting the back of the instrument, it will not negatively affect the tone that much. Some instruments are built to where your arm can sit on the top a bit and it wouldn't negatively affect the tone that much. In this particular instrument, the smaller the body of the instrument is, the more susceptible it will be to negative influences to its tone, so it has lower tonal fortitude. When you have a dreadnought style guitar or a massive guitar body, those have great tonal fortitude. They can withstand all that sort of thing, so it's not really that big of a deal for larger sized bodies. But this is a smaller body. I actually really like the shape of this. Again, it's a Reading guitar. It's a 3/4 size guitar. It's not a full length, so the scale length is shorter than you would expect on a typical guitar. I'll just play a little bit more and you can hear the difference in the sound that you get playing closer to the bridge or sol tasto, sort of over the fretboard here. So. For me personally, as a player, I prefer playing sol tasto sort of up here closer to the fretboard. You get much more warmth. There's a richer color to the sound. But if you are in an environment where, say, you're just playing a solo, or you really need to cut above the other instruments a bit more, then it's a good idea to play closer to the bridge. You'll get a nice brighter cutting tone. It's a more shallow sound in terms that it has less complexity. To me, it's a bit less pleasant here, but when there are other instruments playing, then there are other things to consider other than volume and you know, how deep you want your tone to sound. If you're just playing solo or with one other person, I think it's great playing up here. This instrument is also well suited toward tremolo. It hits a register that other mandolin family instruments don't reach, and I think that you can provide some fascinating sound to an ensemble.